this is the best season that the Rockets have had since 2018, 6 years, the year after James Harden was prime MVP. And now I feel like we really have a foundation to not only make the playoffs, which we have ensured basically, but also build upon it for the future.
They're doing it behind a tremendous defensive effort here. And similarly to the way that we talk about the Pistons in the Eastern Conference, they're doing it with a combination of young stars and also veterans that are making a huge impact.
We're now tuned in to the Dark Times channel.
And so here we go again, back with another one. Welcome back to the Dark Times channel. And Malika Andrews and ESPN were forced to talk about the Houston Rockets because as of late, the Houston Rockets have been on a roll. They've been terrorizing the NBA and gearing up for what it looks like a long playoff run
in Houston. But what I do really love is the fact that this is the best season that the Rockets have had since 2018, 6 years, the year after James Harden was prime MVP. And now I feel like we really have a foundation to not only make the playoffs, which we have ensured basically, but also build upon it for the future.
They're doing it behind a tremendous defensive effort here. And similarly to the way that we talk about the Pistons in the Eastern Conference, they're doing it with a combination of young stars and also veterans that are making a huge impact.
And so Malika Andrews is right on the money with this one. The only thing that she failed to conveniently mention was the cause of that, the root cause of that, which we all know is Ime Udoka, one of the better coaches in the league, and not just my opinion, but a lot of people's opinion, should be up for Coach of the Year.
Coach of the Year. I feel like the easy answer is OKC's Mark Daigneault running it back, but we also got Kenny Atkinson, who got the Cavs hooping in Believe Land. Both teams sitting at the top of their conferences and not looking like they're going to be going anywhere. Also, shout out to Coach Taylor Jenkins because the Grizzlies are balling out, but we all knew that the Grizz was going to be better when Ja got back, so this is not really a surprise. But to me, absolutely nobody saw the Houston Rockets coming. Coach Ime Udoka got the Rockets with the third best defense in the league. They're second in the Western Conference, and after finishing 11th in the West last year with a 500 record in the 20th ranked offense, this is what they're doing this year. The Rockets are looking like they could actually make some noise for the first time since James was shooting threes and throwing ones in Houston. And that right there is enough for Coach Ime Udoka to get the nod for me.
When you look at the West in its entirety, Booze, I don't know who is the second best team. The Rockets are number 2, but who is the second best team, Booze, in the Western Conference?
Everybody wants to talk about Denver Nuggets, the Lakers, the Clippers, and even the Warriors. But I'm going right there in H-Town with Houston. I think they got a star in Alperen Sengun. He's a 20-10-5 guy. Jalen Green has turned himself into a both sides of the court guy. He can play defense and he can score. He can put up 30 a night if he had to. He's averaging 22 right now.
And I'm going to go ahead and say this as it pertains to Jalen Green and Alperen Sengun. Because if it wasn't for Ime Udoka, Alperen Sengun and Jalen Green would be one-way players. And I'm going to go as far as to say we might be looking at Jalen Green as almost a six-man kind of a player, almost offensive specialist. Because before Ime Udoka got there, both Jalen Green and Alperen Sengun were nowhere close to the defenders that they are now. And this is why I tell people coaching matters. It matters where you go, because a coach like Ime Udoka doesn't have to acquiesce to anybody or any organization. He can come in and he can lay the foundation and he can lay the kind of culture that he wants.
Just continue to be a physical presence on both sides, but really my thing is to concentrate on the things you can control, which is, looking to score and not looking to get fouled as much, playing through contact and not looking for a call or letting missed shots affect you on the other end. So they went after him tonight. Anytime he had it in the post and he found guys, and that was the reason we had those wide open looks. And so some nights it's going to be a scoring thing, some nights it's going to be facilitating, and he has to be able to do both. But my biggest thing with him is, I say to him, get the European out of your game and play through stuff. Stop crying.
And so Ime Udoka doesn't care what round you were drafted. He doesn't care how much money you're making. His only loyalty is to playing winning basketball and playing both sides of the basketball. And that's why the Rockets find themselves in the position that they're in right now.
This team is quietly just going about their business. They've won 9 out of 10. They lock teams up. They can score with anybody. And guess what? They're young. Young teams that are this talented are dangerous in the playoffs.
And so absolutely, no doubt about it. The Houston Rockets are one of those teams that I don't think a lot of teams in the West want to face. Outside of OKC, I don't think anybody wants to see the Houston Rockets. And I could see a Houston Rocket team with home court advantage running through a lot of teams in the Western Conference playoffs. Like I said, outside of OKC, that's a dangerous matchup for a lot of teams. You're talking about a young team in a playoff scenario in which we all know the playoffs slow down, the game slows down, and if they want to slow the pace, they can play through a Sengun. If they want to speed up the tempo, they can give it to an Amin Thompson and let him pick up the tempo. And so they can do a lot of different things, and they match up well with a lot of different teams, mainly because of their versatility, because not many teams can say they have 2 top 3 picks within the last 4 years coming off the bench. And I'm talking about Jabari Smith Jr. and Reed Sheppard. And Reed Sheppard is one of those guys that they can afford to bring along slowly because they got Fred VanVleet playing in front of them. And Fred is a veteran point guard with championship experience. And so they can take their time with Reed Sheppard. But as for Jabari Smith Jr., Jabari Smith Jr. is ready right now. Jabari Smith Jr., if he was playing for the Toronto Raptors, could average 20 and 10. An efficient 20 and 10. He's that good. The only problem with Jabari, and I'm not even going to say problem, because what Jabari Smith Jr. is, he's really a coach's dream. This is the kind of player every coach wants on his team. The kind of player that has all the talent in the world, but they don't realize it yet. You can do a lot with a player like that. You can go as far as to bring him off the bench, because somebody with Jabari Smith's talent, somebody who was drafted number 3 overall, somebody like that normally would be throwing a fit. He would be pouting. We would be hearing rumblings. But because Jabari Smith Jr. is who he is, and that's one of the reasons why I was high on Jabari Smith Jr. when he was coming out of the draft. I watched a lot of his interviews. I watched him when he was at Auburn. I watched his demeanor on and off the court, and that's the kind of guy that you can win with. But like I said, the only problem with Jabari, and like I said, it's not really a problem, at least as far as the team's concerned, but Jabari doesn't understand how good he is. You're talking about a player that can guard pretty much every position, a player with a beautiful shot, can get his shot off damn near over anybody, got a long wingspan, close to 7 feet tall, and so he can do it all. He can do it all. He can't really put it on the floor as good as others, but outside of that, he really has no weakness in his game. And right now, he's only lacking a little bit of confidence. Once his confidence starts to match his game, we're talking about a superstar caliber player, a two-way superstar caliber player, almost KD-like. And that's the kind of player that's going to be coming off the bench in the playoffs. And so that's big. And that's why a lot of people are high on the Rockets right now. The Rockets, like I said, they're a bad matchup for anybody outside of OKC. This is a team that can beat anybody. And I think they're going to go pretty deep in the playoffs. And I wouldn't be surprised. I said it first. I'm going to say it here right now. I would not be surprised if they come out of the West. But regardless, this is going to be an important postseason for the Rockets. It's going to be very telling for the Rockets because this is going to decide who's going to stay and who's going to go. They got so much talent on that team that they really can't afford to keep everybody, because if they try to keep everybody, sooner or later, they're going to start to lose pieces for nothing. And so this is going to be telling. Whoever shows up in these playoffs, that's who's going to stay. You know, as simple as that. And if they all show up, or the majority of them show up, then they should come out of the West. And in that scenario, I don't see anybody getting moved. I see them playing it out as long as they can. And if they have to lose a piece here or there over the next few years for nothing, if that means they're winning, then so be it. But that's the only way I see them keeping this team intact, is if somehow they can make it to the Western Conference Finals. But outside of that, I think it's going to be a lot of mix-up and a lot of big moves for the Rockets this offseason. But we're going to see. We're going to see how it all plays out. And that's my take on it anyways. Make sure you guys go ahead and chime in the comment section as usual. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace and chaos.